Welcome to Let the Quran Speak. Well, Christmas is in a day, and the question is, what should Muslims do who don't celebrate the holiday necessarily? What sort of attitude should they have towards Christmas? And Brother Shabir, how can we foster a situation of respect towards those who celebrate Christmas, even if we may not celebrate it ourselves?
I think first of all it is important that we do recognize the need to foster this kind of attitude of respect.
Yes.
Muslims come at this often with a negative attitude, wanting to criticize the faith of others. And there is, of course, room for healthy discussion and dialogue and sometimes even debate over issues of history and the academic study of religion and so on. But at the end of the day, we have to show respect for the faiths of others, as we would expect them to show respect for our faiths as well.
Mm-hmm. Is there any sort of basis for this within the religious tradition, the Islamic tradition?
Yes. To begin with, there is a verse of the Quran which prevents Muslims from abusing the gods of others. The Quran says, لا تسبوا الذين يدعون من دون الله. Do not abuse or cast aspersions on the gods that they worship other than God. Mm-hmm. The Quran encourages us to, even if we enter into debate and discussion, to do so with kindness and generosity. The Quran says, for example, invite towards the way of your Lord with wisdom and beautiful preaching, in the 16th surah of the Quran, in the 125th verse. And then it says that argue with them in ways that is most gracious. Mm-hmm. So we're to express use this kind of graciousness and speak to others. The Quran talks about calling to that which is common. So rather than criticizing others for what is different in their faith, we should encourage dialogue about the things which are common between us and them. Mm-hmm. For example, in Surah 3, verse 64, it says, تَعَالَوْا إِلَىٰ كَلِمَةٍ سَوَاءٍ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ. Come to a word that is common between us and you. In Surah 29, the Quran enjoins Muslims to say to the others, إِلَهُنَا وَإِلَهُكُمْ وَاحِدٌ. Our God and your God is one. So again, there is this commonality that is being emphasized again and again. So mm-hmm. we shouldn't take the attitude of saying, okay, that's different, therefore it is out.
Mm-hmm. And of course, I mean, are we making the assumption that Christmas is bad or good? I mean, obviously, if it was a really bad thing, then we would say, well, we can't tolerate it at all. Right?
Yes, if something is totally haram, obviously,
yes.
Then no Muslim can participate in that.
And they might not even have respect towards it. Right?
Yes, some approaches among Muslims try to label almost everything haram. So mm-hmm. somebody asks, can I greet my Christian friend by saying Merry Christmas? And the response might be, well, no, you can't, because Christians on this occasion will be worshipping Jesus, and by saying to Merry Christmas, that means in essence, go ahead and have fun worshiping Jesus. Mm-hmm. But they're reading too much into a simple greeting. A simple greeting, it just simply says, I know that this is your holiday, and it's a time of joy for you, and I have good feelings towards you on this occasion. So you're going to have fun on this occasion. Good, healthy fun, obviously, is what I expect. Go ahead, have fun, mm-hmm. Or enjoy the holidays. Of course, we're not saying go and drink and gamble, mm-hmm. Because these obviously are things that are against our faith. So we don't mean that. Mm-hmm. We mean that, okay, you'll sit down with your family for a turkey dinner or whatever. You'll enjoy a good family moment. So go ahead, Merry Christmas. That's what we mean. So,
and Muslims do celebrate family and do think it's important to establish good connections and good relationships with the family.
Yes, and of course on an occasion like this, when Muslims are off work, as everybody else, most people will be, then they also many of them do use the occasion to get together with family, have a dinner, sit down together, chat, whatever people do, mm-hmm. To just simply reinforce the family connection and have a good time. So this is all allowed. Mm-hmm. There's nothing particularly wrong with any of this.
Now, for practicing Muslims, Christmas is a time to celebrate Jesus. So is that a problem? Is that a concern?
Uh, Most practicing Muslims who are busy with their prayers and fasting and so on will be looking forward, obviously, to Muslim occasions, the Muslim Eid, to Ramadan, to performing Hajj, going to Mecca and performing an Umrah and so on. But if we think across the board, the general situation is that many Muslims are associating with others, with non-Muslim friends at work, at school, and so on. So there is no hiding from the fact that Christmas is in the air. So what do you do at this time? Well, Muslims themselves do not have within their religious, let's say, religious sphere of thinking, the idea, let's celebrate the birthday of Jesus. To begin with, many Muslims do not even celebrate the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Some Muslims do celebrate the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, but it's never been an aspect of Islamic history that we celebrated the birthday of Jesus, on whom be peace. And that's nothing against Jesus. We don't
some
celebrate
Muslims don't even celebrate their own birthdays.
their own
right?
birthdays, yes. And I was going to say there's nothing against Jesus, because there have been 124,000 prophets according to Muslim belief. Some 25 prophets are mentioned in the Quran, many of them from the Bible, Abraham and Noah and Moses. We don't know the dates of their birth, and we don't celebrate their birthdays, but we do believe that we're following their teachings indirectly by following the teachings which are revealed through the Quran. So we believe that we're following Jesus without celebrating his birthday. But the question that arises is, can a Muslim in this modern context, when they have non-Muslim friends and so on, share in some aspects of Christmas activity? So we should ask, okay, what kinds of activity? Obviously, going to a church to worship Jesus, this would be contrary to the Islamic faith, which insists that monotheism means that God, the one whom Christians refer to as the Father, he's the only God. And so we're to have no other God but this one. And so to worship Jesus as God, this would be contrary to the Islamic faith. To worship anyone other than God to begin with is contrary to the Islamic faith.
What about other things like having a dinner or going to a dinner, for example, or exchanging gifts or saying Merry Christmas to each other? Or something
I don't see that any of these really is contrary to the Islamic faith. I can respect that many Muslims would not want to have any of this, but many others would also want to participate in these things, and I don't see that these are specifically prohibited in our faith.
All right, thank you for that, Brother Shabir. We'll leave it at that.
You're welcome.
We'll take a break. When we return, we answer questions we've received from you, our viewers.